All right. Well, I'm going to just welcome everybody to, I'm not sure if this is the fifth or the sixth in the series, the coaching series, but today's session is being led by Jessica Charez from the Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Jessica, I'm just going to let you introduce the session and take it from here and just let me know what you need along the way.
Okay, thank you and welcome everybody. I would also like to thank everyone who has attended, um, maybe one or two or more, or if this is your first coaching presentation session that you've attended. I just want to say thank you for that. And Amanda's not here, so Amanda, thank you for putting this together for us. Hopefully she hears us in the recording. We really appreciate it. So welcome. So again, Jessica Charisse, I am the student success coach for the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. And we have 12 programs here within our college. Most of them are graduate level programs, doctorate programs. We have our new Bachelor's of Applied Health Science. It's new. I think it's going into year two, three, three year three. We're very excited about that. That is the only program where we do have transfer, can be transfer students first time, right out of high school students. The rest of our programs, everybody or the students have to apply to be accepted, have so many courses, foundational courses. So we have a medical lab science program, our program, as well as our radiation therapy program. Those are undergrad programs as well, and the rest are upper level programs. So just wanted to give you a little bit of background on that. Um, as far as the presentation goes, I'll be sharing that in a moment. But just want to give you a little bit of background of why I'm here, why I'm doing this presentation. As far as the students go, I find myself when I first started in this position 3 years ago that I would be meeting with students. We would be just discussing how are things going, how are things not going, what are the struggles, what are your barriers, and then so we would go through that. I would, send them a follow-up email with information, but there was no really like plan. It was just kind of conversation back and forth, and maybe a follow-up email. Then they would also go to their faculty advisor. Most of them here have faculty advisors. So then they would go to the faculty advisor. Faculty advisor would have no idea what I spoke with the student about, and vice versa. And the students repeating their story over again, what their struggles are. Of course, we do have different roles, but sometimes we overlap a little bit with some success strategies. So rolling forward, we started a plan for our pharmacy students, doctorate of pharmacy students that were on probation. There's an education specialist within the college or within the pharmacy program. We admit 100 students a year. We have 400 students at a given time because it's a 4-year program. So, students are definitely struggling. And so we wanted to put in place a plan, a process that students had in extra support. I didn't meet a lot of pharmacy students previously. They just didn't seem to come for help a lot. But now they are. They're getting to know me. So the ones if they're on probation, they have to meet with me. That is one of the requirements. After they meet with me, they meet with their faculty advisor. That is a requirement. So we put an academic success plan in place just for that program. Karen, our education specialist, and I developed it together, worked together on it. Um, so it was specialized towards that program. So I wanted to develop something that could be used for all our programs, or maybe tailored to a program that they would see the need to tailor within their specification. So with that being said, so now we're here, and I am just going to go over a little bit of background about the roots of the plan, and here we go. Okay. Okay. Can we see my screen? Awesome. Okay. And also, this is very informal. Step in anytime with any questions. Stop me along the way. Comment, ask questions. Very open to that. Just so you have that. Okay. Okay. So, as far as the biggest challenge that you see your students face, can you think about that for a moment? And if there was one or two, one of the biggest challenges, can you put that in the chat, please? Or say it. You can say it as well. Oop, sorry. Let me just get back there. Now, I can't see the chat. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Personal life stress, manage work and classes, balancing work and school, time management, financial aid,
Yep.
time management again, balancing work and school, financial pressures, time management, defining priorities, and not being prepared from high school so far.
Ooh, I like those. Um, so is there like one buzzword that when a student comes to see you, what that buzzword would be?
I mean, I'm
Or a
seeing,
word?
oh, buzzword, like not a common theme here. The themes are definitely time management and
Okay.
financial stress and balancing work and school. But
Okay.
yeah,
Good
maybe they want
enough.
to throw some buzzwords in.
Mine is overwhelmed. When students come see me, they're overwhelmed. That's the big one due to many of
Well,
these factors.
I'm seeing like students not reading emails is a theme, potential graduation term, like wanting to know specifically when they're graduating.
hmm hmm Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so learning objectives for today, and I've got to move myself out of here somehow so I can see. I don't know if I'm in the right view or not. Hold on, so I can see my own. Okay.
Good.
Okay, we'll try that. Okay, sorry about that. Okay,
No,
so the learning objectives today, identify coaching support strategies for student success, discover how reflective practice transforms to continuous learning, implementation of SMART goals and student planning, and identifying processes to develop an academic success plan. Is anybody currently using some sort of academic success plan within their role? No?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. I'm not sure if you
Yep.
wanted us to put it in the chat, but
Oh, you
I
can, it's
I
either or.
am.
Go ahead.
I am
Okay.
using the
Thank
plan.
you. Oh, I can see the chat over here, I think. That's interesting. It's on my other
yeah,
screen.
on the other
Okay.
screen. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I practiced earlier and I could see it, but maybe because it was my meeting, but it's on my other screen. So if I'm looking to the side at all, I guess I can see the chat. But Kate, if you want to continue on with that,
Yeah.
that's great too. Okay.
Um,
Repeat contract. Okay.
repeat
Go ahead.
contracts. Yeah.
Okay. I did come across one in biology when I was looking because students seem to not pass biology a lot.
Yeah.
And I found a like a repeat course contract type thing.
Yep.
So, okay. Okay. Thank you. So this is the common student here in pharmacy. and I know there's many, we all have multiple different student populations. Um, Basically, they're, like I said, they're overwhelmed and they're so overwhelmed, they just don't know where to start, and don't know what to do. Um, a lot of our programs start off in 18, 19 credit hours in the spring, summer, and they go year round, and they keep going. So, okay. So the success framework that we're going to discuss is um, student success coaching, which is a support reflection to develop self-awareness, the goals, setting those SMART goals. Some of you may be already using those. And then, an adjustment plan, like how students can adjust and monitor um, to see what's working, what's not, and to move towards success. Again, academic shift from ineffective strategies or lack of support to reflection and to goals and accountability. Okay, so the academic success planning process or plan is based on is rooted, I would say, from a couple theories. One is the self-determination theory, and this is by Ryan and DC, who are two famous psychologists. And Dante and I went over, this is one of the theories we used in our first session. Um, but it's a motivation theory that explains how students, individuals are more likely to engage, persist, and succeed when their basic psychological needs are supported. So, what are those? Those needs, DC and Ryan say all three of these need to be met in order for success, which would be motivation, intrinsic motivation, social development, well-being. And all those three being met. And this is where the student success coaching comes in as coaches, as advisors, how we can support autonomy, having those students make that choice, building their confidence, competence, helping them develop those skills, what's going well, keep going on what's going well and build on that. And as well as the relatedness, help. This is a big one, helping for me, and I don't know for all of you, but helping feel like they've been seen, supported, and just connected, and being a student at Wayne State and being part of that. All right, why is this moving? There we go. Okay. So what does that look like in coaching? Self-determination, say a student says, everybody tells me how I should study, or what I should do. Um, so giving that student that ownership, what strategies have worked best for you? And so they are, thinking about, okay, this has worked for me. This is what I can do, and what else can I do? So giving them that choice. Um, how about I don't think I'm smart enough? Um, and when students come meet with you, does anybody raise your hand, put it in the chat? How often do you get that message that students don't think they're smart enough or that they don't belong here?
So
Oh,
Sean said
I
not
couldn't hear you. Sorry. Gosh, the
no,
sound
it
was cutting
says
out again.
says not explicitly, but I read it implicitly often. So
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Go back. Okay. So, having them think about, like I said, where they're successful, um, and what that success was and what else can they do differently, to build on that, to build their confidence. So, sorry, this thing keeps getting in my way, the screen. Okay. And I don't know anyone here. Um, then we ask them who could be part of your support network this system. I think support is huge, whether it be a classmate, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a friend. I know I would not be here, would not finish my degree if it wasn't for the support in my first class from one of my classmates. So um, she got me through what I needed to get through that first semester to help me. And then, feeling supported and, it goes along with relatedness. When they feel like they have support, they feel like they belong. Um, and one of my favorite things here, of course, coaching isn't about giving students the answers, right? They come here, they come see us. We're not giving them the answers. We're helping them discover, themselves and giving them those tools and resources to use to be successful. Okay. So the other theory that is the academic success planning process is self-regulation theory. So the self-regulation theory is a theory in which learners refer to self-generated thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So that's oriented towards achieving goals, and that's by Zimmerman. So some self-regulation coaching would be, these are just some examples. There's many examples, but asking students, how did you prepare? Maybe they come in and they're like, I failed my first exam, right? How often do we hear that? Um, and then, the question could be, well, how did you prepare? That's the planning process. Helping them, come up with a plan to prepare for next time, giving them those tools. Um, how did you know you understood? What was that? What did go well and what did you understand? So that would be kind of monitoring your progress. And then, of course, what worked? Um, and then what will you change? So again, like reflection and adjustment. So it's part of a process and helping them work through some of those thoughts and actions. Okay, this is one of my favorite is reflection. I can tell you when I came to Wayne State, started my master's degree, I had no idea what reflection was. Like the down underneath reflection until I think my second instructor read my reflection paper and she basically yelled at me and told me, Jessica, you need to reflect more. You need to say how you did it. How did you feel? What went well? What didn't go well? And I was like, oh, okay. From then on, I got, I think 100% on the rest of them, but just realizing just the power of reflection. Okay, so again, guided reflection. Here's some of the questions we ask, or I ask when I meet with students. What has not been going well? What are you struggling with the most? Sometimes it's just it's like a class that they're focusing on so much because there's so much content, um, or some other areas as well. And then I highlighted this one for a reason. What are two things that are going well? This is important, because it's not about all the negative, what's not going well, what's not working. There are some things that are working. And what are those? It could be big, it could be small. But when students hear themselves say, you know what, that I did do that well, that gives them the encouragement and the strength to keep going. And then what one change can you make? Notice I didn't say what changes can you make? What one choice can you make? One or two things to start off with because students are usually overwhelmed and don't know where to start. And making that one change can make it more manageable for them. Okay, and why this works. Self-regulated. As you notice, I have learning here in parentheses. So the discussion was in our first coaching session about self-determination theory and whether or not that could be taught. It's basically, the determination you can guide, but there's some controversy back and forth in some of the research. But self-regulated learning that as a coach can be that you can help teach that to students. So and why it works because they evaluate their learning strategies based off those questions you're asking them, monitoring their understanding, identifying their barriers, and adjusting their approach. So they are taking all this in, and you are guiding them along the way to help them learn about themselves. Okay, research connection. The research shows that reflection supports metacognition, self-awareness, self-regulation, the transfer of learning, and a growth mindset. Does anyone want to comment on reflection or what they think about reflection? If they've had any experiences with that?
I like to think of it as, like we self-regulate our temperature. When we're cold, we put a sweater on.
No.
When we're hot, we take a layer off. We change our shoes. And so I think about that with learning. When you're reading and you're not understanding, it's like, maybe you need to add a sweater or take off, change your shoes. Like, it's like you have to be aware of when you're hot or cold. You have to be aware of when you're learning or when you're distracted or when you're not in the right environment or when you don't understand the content. You can't study something you don't understand. So if you don't understand the content, you got to stop and fill those gaps in before you can really study it. So I think of it as everything else we regulate is like the same idea. Oh, your volume went off again like before. Oh, I think it's back.
Oh my God, I'm
Oh,
so
you're back.
sorry. This
You're
is
back. You're
okay.
back.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Thank you, Kennedy. She loves that analogy. I love it too. Um, we got James, lots of reflection and advising sessions. Love it in the classroom, teaching low stakes in class writing. Yep. Discussion posts. Love it. Love it. Love it. Um, I can tell you one thing I did, and it was a weekly reflection. What did I need to do to get my work done in two grad classes? And I would keep adjusting. I'm going to get up Saturday morning. Yep, I'm going to go in that office. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to knock this out. Oh my gosh, my light just went out. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. There we go. It's never done that before. Okay. Anyway, so I would get up and I would try and it just wasn't working. I said, get dressed, get in your car and go drive to Wayne State. So I would do that Saturdays and Sundays and even after work day, but I knew what I had to do because what I was doing was not working. So I mean, I didn't get that far where I didn't, get underneath, but I just knew I had to keep adjusting.
Hey Jessica, I've I've
Yeah.
noticed
Yes.
sometimes that
Yeah.
just with that the reflection can kind of just happen organically just when students have an opportunity to sit in a coaching session and
Yes.
I the my running joke lately is I say I'm happy to sit here next to you while you figure things out for yourself. Um,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
just thinking out loud and having the opportunity to just be intentional about that and the students thinking out loud, they often will get to a good place just by that. And they're like, oh, thanks. This has been so helpful. It's like,
No,
I was
no,
just
I
sitting here
love
while
it.
you reflected.
Right, right. And I think students don't know what they don't know. They just don't. And as coaches, like you said, just having them come in and just working through some of those things, or advisors, we sit and listen. And you're right, just talking through some of those things. I noticed that too. It's oh wow, okay, yeah, which they never really put thought into some of their, I guess, some of their strategies.
Sean, did you
Thank
have
you.
a comment? Sean had his hand up. That's fine. I don't
Oh,
think.
Yeah, yeah. So I found that. So I end up having quite a few conversations with advisees who are stressed. I say stressed, but it's from being overwhelmed and feeling insecure about their ability to tackle a certain obstacle, right? And I found that the reflective piece becomes really valuable when my advisee is comfortable enough to be vulnerable and talk about moments in the past when they have had similar feelings, right? So like when I talk to my daughter at 6, it's about conquering monsters, right? Conquering monsters, and I tell her those monsters never go away; they just shapeshift throughout your life, right? And so, like, remember when you experience those monsters and you conquer them. So, like, when I'm working with a student, they're like, I'm just really not sure if I can do this or not. Well, and then we can say, well, 2 semesters ago, you ran into the same issue, right? And we were having a similar conversation and in a similar tone coming from you, and you were able to pull it together, and you're still here, right? So to kind of like, even in those bad moments, as soon as they're able to conquer those and move on, not to put those entirely on the shelf, because they're useful to come back and say, oh, here's that old friend again, peeping its head around the corner, telling me I can't do it. So I found that has been useful often with some of my advisees.
I like that. Thank you for sharing. Oh, and I'm just reading here. Sorry, it was Kate had a comment how they can just have time to reflect and bounce thoughts off someone that is not a peer. Absolutely. I think it's for sure is even success coaches, a lot of times they don't even know who I am. They're like, "Who are you?" What are you going to do with me? Like they're scared when they come in here and they walk out of here. I've had people hug me, almost kiss me. They were so relieved when they walked out of my office or our meeting together. Um, so I think that's something special, definitely. Okay, so next we're going to go into just a SMART goals overview. Um, I'm sure we've all heard of SMART goals, right? Um, and we have these in the academic success plan. At first it's like, do they really work? You hear they do, and whatnot. But I think for me, each student, right, it's about making it their own and making it about them. So yes, do they have to be specific? Be clear about what they want to achieve, of course. Um, and of course be measurable. How are you going to track? How do you know it's working? And then is it achievable? Being realistic with that and with your abilities and resources. I know I get a lot of students sometimes are like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and this, this. And I'm like, okay. I said, so when are you going to eat? When are you going to drive home? What about your siblings you said you take care of? Like they weren't even putting their whole life, in there with what they were going to do. Um, and then relevant, of course, that, doesn't matter, to their goals and their priorities. And of course, time bound, right? Setting a deadline. When are you going to do this? And how are you going to do it? I'm going to start on Monday, or, I'm going to start tomorrow or whatnot. So helping students walk through these things because students really, I'm finding they don't know how to set goals. They don't even know what they are. They're so overwhelmed, they can't even get out of the moment they're in. Here we go. SMART goals. So what they can do, right? So, reduce procrastination, starting off with having like a goal in mind that can get you back on track. Breaking it down into manageable steps that stress they're having. And so being overwhelmed and allowing to track that progress builds their confidence, of course. Does anyone here use SMART goals in any of their advising appointments or success coaching appointments? Yes, go Kennedy. All right. Okay. Yep. Okay. Joffrey. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, does anyone have any questions so far? We're doing all right. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do a little goal exercise. So a student says, and I don't know how many times I hear this, but I always wait until the night before an exam to start studying, or I stayed up all night studying, right, for this exam. Um, so the student writes a goal. We give them say, okay, let's start a goal. I'll study more. How many times I hear that too? Um, so how would we make that goal better and improved and meaningful?
Make it measurable. How long? When are you going to study? How long? And what?
Yes.
I
Yep.
think,
How long? When? Mm-hmm.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I think more specific would be good too. Like they could maybe even
Mm-hmm.
just focus in on one class that they want to study for,
Mm-hmm.
um, specific content in that class they want to study. Um,
Yeah.
because I will study more is very, very broad and it can be very overwhelming.
Yes. Yes.
I
Um,
might, oh,
yeah,
sorry. I
go
might
ahead.
say, how can we make this more concrete or measurable? Like
Mm-hmm.
study more, it's vague, can we say like put it in something where like each week you can either say, did I achieve that goal or I didn't? Very, it happened or it didn't. Like 2 hours, like, and I like the other point of like get very specific on the courses.
Yes. I like that. And I think as educators, that's what we do with students because I don't know how many times I have went through some academic success plans with the goals and I return them. I send them right back to them. They're supposed to meet with me to go through them, but they don't know, right? And just helping them guide through that, like those questions, like just as you're saying, like, you know, maybe what subject, how many hours, what kind of studying? Well, I get into that too. So as far as like techniques, like evidence-based techniques, like maybe do like concept mapping or active recalling or whatnot. 'Cause a lot of times, we're putting that strategy in there too. So, yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry, minimize my screen here. Okay, thank you all for sharing. And someone mentioned this one, monitoring and adjusting, right? I think if it's working or not, right? And what if it isn't working? How will you adjust? Because we are all human beings, and that's what I tell students. So whatever you put down in that goal, if it may not work, and that's okay. So if it doesn't work, what else can you do? In adjusting your approach. Okay. All right. So this is what I call the strategy. This is just going to be an overview, basically of the success plan that we put in place to help students with these types of things. Um, so this is the Wayne State University. It's the Eugene Applebaum. That's a long thing. Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. So if you ever see these acronyms, that's what that means. Student Academic Success Plan. So the plan that was designed, we are reflecting on barriers. We're building those goals, guiding them through those goals, connecting students with resources, right? Maybe it's not about studying. Maybe maybe they need counseling, something else is going on, or they don't, they have a disability and don't know how to apply for it, or they don't make the time for it. I get that a lot. They don't have time to apply for accommodations. When I tell them, I said, nope, we're going to sit here right now and do this. That's the connecting with resources, monitoring progress, and then, of course, increasing their confidence and direction. And I'm going to also say support, feeling supported, is some of the feedback that I've received. Okay, so role of the student success coach and advisors or mix, we all know some of our roles definitely intertwine with each other. But some of the coaching would be going through the reflection and the goals with the students, encouraging their growth mindset, and as well as promoting their well-being, right? If their well-being isn't right, we know those other aspects, well, they're probably not going to work because they have to be well in order to be able to be focused and determined. Okay, I know this is a little crazy, but this is just kind of an overview of this process. So the success plan is in electronic form. That's one thing I love about it and why we went with dynamic forms. Um, it can hold a signature. It can be routed to say if the student met with me, then they had to meet with their faculty advisor or program director. um, it is actually, I sign off on it after the student meets with me and it gets moved. It goes to the inbox of the program director. So they can have access to it and whatnot. And also they can sign off on that as well. Um, so the process basically, so either I would have I'm just gonna just kind of walk through this. A student would either, maybe I have a student walk in. Or I receive an email in my inbox with the STARS appointment that a student has made. Um, so then I review the appointment review the appointment. Is it Teams? Is it in person? That way I kind of know how to prepare the appointment reason. I have a link in my STARS appointment page that it asks for the reason for their appointment. Sometimes they put something in, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it can be anything and everything. But if I know they're struggling, they may put in there, that they're overwhelmed or whatnot. But so then we have a coaching meeting, and I'm going to back up with the pharmacy plan that is strictly for probation students, nobody else. And what didn't bother me, but for me, I want students to be able to have a plan no matter what. Maybe it's like one thing they're struggling with, um, or they need resources and they like the reflection piece, right? We just talked about how important that is for students to realize maybe what's going on and what they can do to, work through some things. So that was why I wanted to implement something that could be for anybody, within our college. Anyway, okay. So student coaching meeting, they either meet with me virtually or they come in. Um, and then at that point, I'm gonna, get to ask them a few questions and say, hey, we have an academic plan. Um, can we go through this? That way you have some, like a roadmap for your success. So they would verbally opt in, or it could be required because I do have some other programs where they are required to meet with me um, depending on what their policies are. Okay, so I would email them. They would have their computer here. If not, I have an extra one. They get email the link, and it's through dynamic forms. So they get that link, and then they go through the plan with the course of coaching guidance. I sign off on it. That I've met with the student, kind of give the summary. Um, oh, I'm sorry, the student signs it first. Sorry. Student signs off on it. I get an email in my inbox that the student has completed their part of the plan. Um, and then I put in comments and like a summary, and then I sign off on it. And then I email it in a PDF to the student with an email. I'll show you that with their plan. And then a couple weeks after, they get a survey if they have implemented any of the strategies or still need support or, basically a follow-up. Okay. There is an assessment piece, which I'll show you later, but this is basically what they get. Which 2 or 3 strategies have you implemented? What positive changes have you noticed? And what challenges are you still currently experiencing? So, if I get that and there's challenges, definitely I'm going to be reaching out right away, um, depending on what those are. Okay, any questions? Okay. Okay, so the success plan. So this is just a little overview. First of all, is we discussed earlier, the students being able to open up with us. Um, and I always, let the student know whatever they discuss. This is a psychological safe place, whether it be virtually, whether it be, in my office. I am here to support them and I want them to be able to open up and just build that trust with them. Um, so just making sure, we give them that provides a guided space, for reflection, problem solving, goal setting, and making sure it's together that we're going to identify challenges, right? Because half the time they don't even know what their challenges are when you meet with them. And building those effective strategies, strengthen their habits and mindset that supports them. And whether that be, just university resources, connecting them to those, or just listening and just coaching them through some of their feelings and thoughts with the growth mindset. Okay, so there's four parts to the plan. So the part one is intake and learning about you. Part two is challenge identification and guided reflection. Part three, goal development and strategy commitment. And then part four is monitoring and adjusting your academic success plan. Okay, we're gonna dive into um, the plan and see what it looks like. Okay, we are gonna go here. I don't know if anyone works with dynamic forms. It's kind of a pain. It's like log in, log out, log in, log out. Is anyone familiar with dynamic forms?
No, uh, you have to get access to that, right? Or
Yes. The way I first like would relate it is 'cause we were using Microsoft Forms and it did not have the flow that we needed. Um, I just remember, I know, like, say if somebody had to turn in a financial aid document, like maybe they had to upload I don't know if they still even upload taxes or a verification form or something for financial aid. Um, they do it through dynamic forms. The university does. Like that is where their documentation goes. Um, you do have access to your dynamic forms. It is very hard to get to. I had a student fill out an emergency fund application and I'd follow up with her. Have you heard anything? No, 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 I haven't heard anything. And I said, well, show me your dynamic form. So we went into her portal and then went in her dynamic forms, which she would have never known how to get into, and found that the application she didn't press submit. So it was just sitting there, but she would have never known how to even get there. So that's why I like to email the plan to students, their PDF plan. It just makes it a little bit easier. So, okay. So, oh wait, do we have anybody? Sorry. Okay. Yes and no. James, yes and no. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, where am I again? Let's see. Did it go? Oh yeah, it's here. Okay. Can we see this success plan, Wayne State University?
yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I filled one out myself. I think this is a fill. No, it's not. Okay. I'm going to show you two different aspects here. So this is what it looks like when it is submitted, or a student is filling it out. This is what they're going to see. So they get the part one, part two, part three, part four. We have a message here that I created, provide the guided space for reflection, problem solving, goal setting. So just kind of that message, for
We're
them.
we're not
Yeah.
seeing the form. We're just seeing the slideshow.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. I'm going to go back out here. And then, I need to stop sharing. Hold on one second. I wonder why I stopped sharing it. Hey, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to share. Okay. 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 Do we see this now? Is it different?
Yes, I can see the
Yep.
form
Thank
itself.
you.
Yep.
Okay. So here's the form. Okay. So yeah, so this is what they'll see. So a little message here. And again, I'm college pharmacy and health sciences. So some of this may be tailored, sorry, towards more kind of my college, but I tried to add some other things in there. I've left some things out on purpose. Um, that I think, that maybe other people tell me that needs to be in there. Um, at the end. So, okay, so they put their name. Um, so these are our programs for the College of Pharmacy. So they'll click on the program that they are interested in, or that they're in, sorry. And then they'll click their year because we have different years in the program, up to year 4. Some of them are 2 years, some of them are 3, some of them are 4. And then the semester that they're in, their current semester. And then I ask if they're currently on academic probation, remediation, or deceleration. Everyone always asks me what remediation means. I didn't know for quite some time. There's remediation policies through some of our different programs, which means if they fail a course, they have a chance to self-learn and basically do it again, take the exams again. Um, so I asked that question, and they may have none of this. And then what I liked is I get some students who are required to meet with me. They get a letter from our progression committee that shows their stipulations basically. For example, I have one that she is academic misconduct, and actually I probably need, well, and she is on probation because of that. So she has a letter, but it tells you everything in there that she needs to do with me, or what I need to coach her through. So they can attach that, or what, any kind of documentation. And this goes in dynamic forms, which I can access at any time. Let's see. Okay, so a little bit about themselves, and tell me a little bit about yourself, how's your semester going, and so forth. And I always tell them a little bit about myself too, right? Because they don't know. Sometimes they get this letter and they got to meet with me. And like I said, they don't know who I am. They're like, oh, the student success coach. What is she going to say to me? Like what? And they're scared. Um, so I always let them know who I am, what I do. I have daughter in college, a son that's going in the senior year in high school. Just so they get a little feeling of that space. Okay. And then we have their challenge identification. Now, again, this is not perfect, this plan, right? I tried my best to kind of cover some different things, but so I put some things in here. That's not everything because then it would be a mile long, right? So I tried to pick some challenges, like time management, and put some examples and what they are, because sometimes they don't know what those are or they mean. Lack of a structured, consistent study plan, ineffective study and testing strategies, staying motivated, procrastination, prioritization of one class over another, and so forth. You can see them right here. And then I also made a other box. So if they click other, they can put in, um, I'm just gonna put X's. So then they can put that as what they like to share. And then we go next. Oh, hold on. Okay, we'll go. Okay, we'll go here. I'm just gonna fill so you can see what it looks like. I'll go next. Okay. Okay. So now is the guided reflection. So this is where the reflection questions come in. What's been going well? What patterns do you notice? So this, what I like about this plan is it kind of guides. We make questions that guide through some of those things, right? They don't know what reflection is, so you got to kind of walk through these. What are two or three things that have been going well? What has helped, even briefly? Again, important because we want to build that confidence. Something that they are doing is right, right? So we got to get that out of them. What would they continue? What's one change that you can focus on to support your success? Um, Start small, right? One change. You're not telling them what to do, you're asking them. And that is the difference. And that is the coaching. You're not telling them, I want you to start this assignment right now, right? You're asking them what is one change that you can focus on. And then a second change to support your success. And then we have some examples. Um, and here's the support, right? It's important to surround yourself with supportive classmates, friends, family, and mentors who can encourage your success. Um, and that's where they can list those members of who they are. And then also the questions, are you in need of a more consistent support system? Because then we can go deeper if that's the case. So I'm going to just put XXX for now. Okay. Okay. Now here's their goals. So the next part is their goals. So here we go. Here's their goals page. I think the faculty wanted us to have like 7 goals. That was with pharmacy. I made this plan my own. But we didn't do 7 goals. We're like, that is too much. Students are not going to do 7 goals. Like we need to start where it's manageable for them. And make it yeah, manageable so they are not so overwhelmed. So these are their goals. So again, here's your little goal thing, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Creating goal 1, what will you do? When will you do it? How will you stay on track with your goal? And what will you do if you get behind or feel discouraged? Second goal is the same thing. So that's their second goal. All right. And then again, a lot of times they need help with that, definitely walking them through that. Um, and the next is the program support service. I find myself again emailing things here, that here's this link, here's this link. So I wanted to create something within the plan that we could go through. So we have program support service commitment. Again, we have a lot of faculty, advisors, program directors. So you'll see different things in here, like faculty advisor, engaging, they have like exam autopsies, reviews, course coordinators. Sometimes there's so many course coordinators for so many different courses. But here's a big when I meet with those bachelors of applied health science students. Hold on, my light went off again. Okay. All right. I'm like, have you met with your instructor during office hours? Um, no, they're scared, right? They don't want to reach out. Um, Meeting with a success coach, working with other identified program supports. Okay. And then we have university support. Again, this list could be so long. I could have put so many things on here. Um, but I just wanted to keep it kind of, where it's not a huge long list. So it's not so overwhelming. I have like the Academic Success Center, the CAPS, Disability Services, the Writing Center. We have our own embedded financial aid counselor here for our students. But students don't know how to get a hold of that person. Um, our students have access to the Schiffman Medical Library, and there are so many resources on there for our students that they don't even know about. Um, Student organizations, student success resources, and additional university resources. And we have these, like if you click on, I'm going to click on this. I should be able to go back to it. Do you all see my success coaching page?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So here's some different things. Like under some resources here, like again, they can go into like Scholarship Universe, Microsoft 365 download, disability services, emergency fund, CAPS. Um, and we need to work on our website a little bit. But then right here, I'm gonna go back. I'm back on the plan. Can you see the plan?
Yep.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so then we also have these university resources. So that's why I don't want to list them all, but we have different other resources here as well. Um, some different things. See, we've got all these other links on here as well, right here. So, okay. All right, go back. How are we in time? Almost through. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Okay. All right. And then they could put other, like maybe it's something non-Wayne State, that maybe they're doing. Okay. All right. And then there is monitoring and adjusting. So asking them, how will you know if your approach is working? How will you adjust? Walking them through that process. Because you don't want them to walk out and be like, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to start Monday and do this and that's it. And then they need to keep thinking about that. And that's part of your coaching. And then they sign it right here, date, and then it goes to my inbox. I get the email, so and so academic success plan one, or their parts filled out. I click on the link, it brings me right to this right here. I worked with the student to create the academic success plan, and I put like a summary, and then I sign and date. Oh, yeah, let me do that. Oh, I'm gonna just click on some of these. Okay. I adjust every Sunday, by the way. That is my adjustment period. What do I have to do for the week? What's upcoming and to prepare? Okay. So I'm going to do this. Oh, I have to sign. I'm a student and a coach in this system. Okay, so I sign. I click. What did I miss? What field is required? Well, didn't I fill it out? I don't know what I'm missing here. Let's see what it does. Oh, that's right, because I'm the student. I'm sorry. Not the coach at that point. That was a student
Oh,
signature. That's why I'm like, what? So now it would go to my inbox and I get a copy. Um, here. So yeah, it goes in my inbox. And then I am able to click on it, then put my comments and sign off. And can you guys see this little forms I need to sign now? Yep, thank you. So this is dynamic forms. This is the PDF of where the plan is at. And you'll see if there's any attachment, it'll be right next to it. Like any document they uploaded. Okay, so I am going to, all right, where am I going? Hold on. Back to- Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. If I can get back there. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
And I'm sorry if I missed this earlier, but how do students receive the form? Like, is it automatically sent to them once they're flagged as being a part of like the like probation or the other
Mm.
categories, or what does the logistics look like there?
So there is a link. I'm actually going to show you that next.
Oh,
So you're
perfect.
thinking ahead.
Oh, great.
Yes, but we actually have to email it to them. But there is a link in dynamic form. So like say I know like our pharmacy students that are on probation, they get a letter like from they call it the progression committee, like they all meet and say, okay, this person's on probation, here's your probation, here's your conditions, whether or not you can remediate or retake the class or you're dismissed or whatnot. But they wouldn't get the link if they were dismissed. And then the instructions are in there to meet with me. And then the link to the plan. Pharmacy students actually fill out their first part on their own. Um, but they're already on probation. So I didn't make this way, which I'm going to pilot this in the fall with one of our programs or more. Because students come in to see me with several different reasons. It could just be for one small thing. I mean, I had a guy come in and ask if I had a belt because he knew I told him about the thrift store.
Mm.
He had a presentation. He was like, "Do you guys have a belt?" And like, I forgot that. And he was all dressed up. And I was like, no, not. But I mean, it could be for one simple thing. So I don't want somebody to have to fill out a plan when it may not apply to them. So that's why I kind of interview them first about that.
Okay.
Um, but okay, let's see. We are gonna go back here. Go. All right, and go in the next part. Which is this won't take too long. It's just I just wanted to give everyone kind of an overview. Uh, log in again. Okay, let me share. All right, does everyone see this crazy form templates page?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so these are all my practice things. So I changed some of them, and I was making different ones. So we are going to look at, let's go. Okay, so just to back up a little bit, I worked with OTL, Michael Ward and Claire. Um, I kind of they taught us some things in the pharmacy one. From there, I took that and made changes or made it my own, what I wanted to do for the other programs. Um, so I'm going to show you a little background information because I am not a technology person, as you can tell, as I'm trying to see if I can click the right screen or whatnot. So, like it's a lot of programming, which is like, oof. So I learned some things, but we're going to take a look. So I am going to click on, okay, we see this ATA template. So there's the one I just filled out sitting here. Okay, I'm gonna go edit. Okay, do we all see like this add item template, edit item styles, type place, short answer layout table image? Okay.
Yep.
So this is kind of the behind the scenes of what dynamic forms looks like. Um So let's see. A couple things. Like I put all these things in. Um, basically I put all this in. So I needed a little help though to get it pretty. Like I would enter the information, but I couldn't make it come look like the last form I showed you. It would be maybe misaligned or whatnot, and that's what OTL helped me with to work through that. And they had to show us some things with the first plan. Like they had to teach us a few things. Um, let me see. So we're gonna go down. See, these are like text fields. Um, I think I would have to like put a section like text HTML. HTML is a little over my head. But there's some different things. Like I saw this file upload button. I'm like, oh, they can upload their letter. Like, oh, this is perfect. So I could have it in one spot. So there's some different things. Like these check boxes, I made all these and then put the comments in. And this is accessibility friendly, by the way. There's some other data fields in here that you have to like put a description when you're entering the fields in, which they helped me a little bit through that too. Let's see. So we put checklists. Oh, I can go to this. Sorry if I'm giving anyone a headache scrolling. Okay. Here's the pages. And we had to work this out where it looked pretty. So there's a page one, there's a page 1.5. Those are like the reflection boxes. As you see this, like this in the yellow part here, that's like it would have um some of the different fields. That's the part 3 that we made. Okay, and then the step 3 and part 4. And then we have like required signatures. So that's kind of behind the scenes. There's all these different things you can put in. Like if you're putting a short answer, like you're putting someone needs to write something in. I think those are my boxes, a choice list. So they could pick, I put in the programs and they could, pick whatever their program they're in, things like that. Okay. Now, show you something kind of, so this is where you can customize some things. I'll only put, okay, participants. You don't have to remember this. And I'm trying to remember. I'm going to go edit. Okay, here we go. This is what I want to show you. Maybe not. Hold on. Okay, so when students fill out this form, it's programmed where it comes to me. So right here, I get this email. Hi, academic success plan for so-and-so is ready for review. You're listed as the coach. Here's the link. So I click on that. We made this email, like this is what you get. So I'll prepare. That one's not supposed to be in there. I thought I saved that. You got to press save twice in this program. It was just success coach meeting. Gonna do that right now. Anyway, okay. So this is now the student gets an email when they fill out, okay, the plan. You'll receive an email. I put congratulations on taking your steps towards academic success. You'll receive an email from your coach within 24 hours with your plan and your coach's final comments. And then if they'd like to request a follow-up. I've got my info there. So that's what they get when they sign off on their plan. And it goes to me. So you can make these templates, is what I'm saying. So you can make these how you want it. What they want to receive once that plan is submitted, if it's signed off on. It's a form flow process, is dynamic form. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, okay. Sorry, I think back to the Zoom. Here we are. Okay. Jeez. Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna share my PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. Do we have my PowerPoint up?
Yes, PowerPoint's up.
Thank you. See, now the Zoom thing disappeared. Okay. All right. So basically this is what I send to the students with their plan. This is an email template that I created. Congratulating them, attaches a copy of their plan. Encourage you to review it regularly and use it as a guide throughout your semester. Your plan is designed to help you stay focused, organized, connected to the supports available to you. Little message there about progress happens one step at a time, and small, consistent actions can lead to meaningful results. And then if they'd like to schedule a follow-up appointment, discuss more challenges, update their plan, reach out to me. Okay. And then 2 weeks after that, they get a academic success planning survey. Basically, I have the program I created, whatnot, and then what positive changes have they noticed? What strategy has been the most helpful and why? And if they're experiencing other challenges. Okay. And then go here. Oh, I'm not in presenter mode, am I? Yeah, no. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So just a little how analyzing, personal academic barriers, increase self-regulation, implementing program and university support, and success strategies and well-being. I have received good feedback from pharmacy students, by the way. Like I said, this one was from my capstone course I did, which I wanted to change it. I didn't even know I was going to do it for my capstone. I'm like, wait a minute, because it had already been on my mind, and I had already researched other schools to see what kind of plans were out there. So yeah, okay. All right, I am going to stop sharing again. Okay. Questions. Um, I can tell you one downfall about the dynamic forms, though. Coming back to have them go back and really update it is not an option. Once it's
Oh,
submitted, it is submitted. It's a done deal. However, you can always do a new plan.
oh,
Or maybe I make a template for an update. That would be an idea. But okay. Any questions? And and oh, I see Kennedy. I can finally see everyone's hand. Okay. Hi, Kennedy.
Hi, me again. Sorry, y'all. I've been very talkative
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Thank you again for taking the time to give us this presentation. It was super informative.
Oh,
I did
good.
have a quick thing that popped into my head. I know one of the
Yes.
struggles I encounter is like getting students to engage in the process. Especially like even though they're on probation and we tell them it's required, and also that there's a
Ooh,
probation hold and they have to meet with us to get it lifted, right? We still have issues with
okay.
students following through. Is that something that you've experienced on your end? And if so, is there anything that you do to help encourage students to be a little bit more uh, proactive before like last minute scrambles and
Right.
things?
Right. Okay, we put once they go on probation, they have 2 weeks. We put a deadline in there for them. You've got to meet with your success coach by this date. Do you guys put a deadline in there?
Yeah, we have some
Okay.
deadlines.
Okay.
And it's really centered around like when registration happens so that they're not getting caught up with registration. But for your
Mm-hmm.
deadlines, is there any type of like, if you don't meet with us by a certain day, then this happens, or is it flexible, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say about our programs is they're all like, so they're in pharmacy school, right? They're like, I am gonna pass. Like I just passed, I mean, 5 out of 6 classes. I got, and they are discouraged. But so a lot of them, because of the type of program, I think that usually they're on it.
Yeah, that
However,
makes
there are some
sense.
we have to However, there are some we have to chase. And then maybe we have the education specialist. She's reaching out. I'm reaching out um to students. So um, maybe if they don't check their email, a lot of them don't check their email. I don't know. Do you email this to them? How do they receive the communication? I guess. Like,
Yeah, we send out emails, and I do want to like give context. We're still, I say we, it's me. I'm the success coach.
to you, yeah, yeah.
I'm still developing things and trying new things, but as of right now,
Absolutely. Yeah.
um, using like campaigns to send out reminders and all of those different things. So I mean, last semester I gave them at least like 4 reminders before like the official deadlines, and students were more like were did engage more, but I still had to, chase down some students. So maybe that's just a part of the a part of the role that I'm still getting used to is chasing down a
What college
handful.
are you in?
I'm in College of
You're
Education. Sorry, that is
education.
important. Yeah,
Yeah,
College of
that's
Education.
okay.
And I work
I don't
only,
know.
I only
Yeah,
work with,
good.
sorry, I only work with undergraduate students. So
Okay. Can you text me? Are you allowed to text message? Or do you have a system that does that?
something we're exploring. But
Okay.
have you done something like that before? Is that helpful?
No, but I can tell you both my kids don't check their emails. I have a 21-year-old and one that just turned 17 last week, and they do not check their emails. Do not. Whether it be personal, But they check those text messages. Um, um, and maybe can you put a hold on any kind of hold on their account, like a registration hold or something where they can't register for the next semester if they don't meet with you? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, they have a registration hold on their
Okay,
account.
okay. Yeah, still
So
not working.
yeah,
Okay.
and I found calling them does help, but also right now, sometimes it's like balancing that with other things. It's not always
Right,
possible. Um,
right, right.
so, but yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
your insight. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And just another thing, so they have to meet with you if they're on probation. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you have some kind of plan that you use?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What do you use? I'm just curious.
No, it's okay. It's a plan that I created that does incorporate like SMART goals and reflection.
Yeah,
So I was happy to
nice.
see that it was good practice. Good practice. I'm like, yes, okay,
Yes.
we're on the right track. And it's something we fill out together during our meetings.
Okay.
Just because when I tried to have them do it beforehand, they didn't do
Oh,
it.
they won't. They don't do it. The
So,
goals is a requirement. Yeah, definitely
right.
the goals is a requirement, especially for
Yeah.
that undergrad population.
Yeah.
So I guess you got to get them to meet with you somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the form that you use, just a paper form? Is it electronic, like a Microsoft form, or what are you using?
It's a not Google, sorry, a Word
Yeah.
document that
Okay.
I share with the student and they have edit access to, but I do it
Okay.
that
Okay.
way so I can see.
Yep.
I encourage them to like keep
Yeah.
using it and like
Yes, they can update it, right?
exactly.
Mhm.
Um,
Nice.
Paper forms get lost in all of those things and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so just
for
the
sure.
online version right now.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Maybe some incentive. I don't know.
I
We give students
yeah,
a prize if they come in for, finishing the online orientation, which they're required to do for our college. It's a whole online one. But so do you find yourself, maybe you don't know this yet, they're coming to you before like, oh my gosh, I can't register, classes are starting and I haven't done this. It's just like a
that
where they're all coming the last minute.
has been the trend.
Yeah.
Like last minute. It's like I'll have my appointments open for like a month and a half before they've gotten the notification. Like, hey, you need to do this thing, make an appointment with me, do it early, and then they wait till like the week before registration. And I'm like, oh
Oh,
no,
well,
I don't have any more
then you're
appointments. Yeah.
you're
So
oh, okay. Do you meet with them virtually?
I meet with them virtually and in person. I
Yep.
try to
Okay.
push towards in person a little bit because I
Yeah,
think
me too.
that has a better
Okay.
impact, but also just to be
Yep.
flexible and
Yeah. Okay.
accessible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. Reaching out. I don't know. Does anyone else have any other tips for Kennedy for getting students to respond? Anyone want to share? Or any strategies, whether it's something they put in an email that gets students to respond or any other tactics?
I don't have
No.
anything else, but I do know when you put that mandatory advising hold on their account, they get an email about it. So
Mhm.
even though I emailed to 10 them, sometimes students will be like, hey, I got an email that I have like a hold on my account. So they do get that communication as well. So
Right.
Okay.
sometimes that's nice because I don't know, they seem to check that sometimes because it's not coming from me, it's coming from something else, someone else that
Yeah.
they found more important.
I would
Yeah,
agree
right.
that they often like don't connect the whole story. Like, you've emailed them about the same hold that then, but then when they get the notification from records, all of a sudden they're, you know, in your inbox. But I just think that email they get from records is very short. And I just think less, is more in this case. Like they will not read more than a couple sentences. They just won't.
Well,
They
and I
just
and
won't.
I also think that like some of this, at least with the traditional college age students right now, right? Like on one end, how we talk about them having access to all the stuff that makes their lives more efficient, and they should this, and they should that, and they should this. They also have a lot more information coming at them and trying to sort through what is it that I should pay attention to and what I shouldn't. And so I think
Mhm.
for me in these moments when it comes to their non-responsiveness, I think part of it can be, and I don't say this to in any way, shape, or form promote apathy, right? But to a certain extent, we have to also allow the process to just take place, right? There's only so much that I can say to a student that a hold restricting their registration can say. You know what I mean? And so we have certain things in progress, where sometimes we gotta allow them to just learn the hard way, which isn't doesn't always fulfill our hearts because most of us have good hearts in what we're doing. But I think
Right?
sometimes we gotta let them slip sometimes and just be there to pick them up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't do everything. You can't help every student. And, our time is valuable, and sometimes we run out of time, right? Like Kennedy said, she's all booked up by the time that time comes. Um, so it's hard. It's hard to balance that for sure. Um, I think, oh, and James, you had a question. And thank you for your comment about OTL. Yes, OTL, I can send out the information. Um, um, who I reached out to for the academic success plan because we didn't know, we just know what we wanted. We didn't know how to get there. And I think they suggested dynamic forms through that process. So are you looking for a different form or an academic success plan form?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking, and
Yes,
thank you for this great presentation and workshop.
yes,
I
yes,
think
you're
it would
welcome.
probably be a slightly different form. So I'm in the School of Medicine with the Department of Pharmacology, and I
Okay.
primarily work with PhD students. And I've been talking with our graduate program officer about trying to create a dynamic form that students would submit after every um, doctoral thesis committee meeting.
Huh?
But one of the problems we're trying to solve is like, could we make a dynamic form that would, one, sort of document what has been discussed in those committee meetings in terms of like outcomes and action items so that everyone involved is protected but also held accountable, while at the same time advancing the form down the queue from the faculty mentor to all the committee members, and each member would then be able to upload an assessment rubric that sort of indicates the progress the student has made. And I don't know if that's just too many things in one, but I feel like
Yeah.
if there was a system that might be able to handle it, it would be dynamic forms. But that was a lot of me talking.
A
So thank you
flow,
for
like
listening to
I
that.
know it can handle a flow, like a from one because we have for somehow we have 100 pharmacy students every year, so they're assigned to all faculty advisors. So we have a huge list, and so when I meet with the student, we have it programmed automatically that whoever their assigned advisors, we had to put that in dynamic forms. That went directly to them where they had to so then they would put in their comments and then submit it. So and that was like the final step. I'm thinking this out loud. It's more of a process. I don't know so much of a shared process, but like a flow per se. And once it's submitted, like however determines that, because I said, well, can't we go back and bounce it back to the advisor after, 2 weeks to follow up? Here's your goals. I can, then they can change things. And they told me that couldn't happen. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah,
Um,
that's tremendously helpful. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We're also implementing a pantry here. We visited the med school and we are going to be putting a mobile pantry here at Applebaum. So
Great.
yeah, so I met with Dean Thummel regarding that and Dean Strauss. So we are excited to get that going. So okay. All right, we just have a few minutes here. And if anybody wanted some kind of academic success form, they could just like copy mine and then make changes to theirs. How they wanted it within their college or their seat to meet their needs. So just an FYI. Just let me know. Reach out if you have any more questions too. Anyone can reach out to me and I can, go through some more details with those. So if you're interested. Okay. Any other questions? Do we have a name? Oh, yes, you're welcome, James. And one thing I'll send out with Kate the PowerPoint, and then I'm also going to send out, I have it's a quick guide, it's a evidence-based study strategy quick guide, which has, like it tells you how like concept mapping, what it is, how it works, time management blocks. It has, like dual coding using two different types of study strategies, Pomodoro technique, like taking breaks to help with procrastination. So I will also send that out, that Kate can send out too.
Um,
Okay. All right. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you. And if anyone wants to collaborate on student success, Kennedy, let me know.